So today on Camry 101, I'm going to show you guys how to weld these cars Posi. Now this is a V6 motor, and the V6 motors are a lot harder than the 4-cylinders. So the differential is hung in there by these retaining rings. So you basically have to pull the motor, pop your axles out, remove both retaining rings, which I'm about to do the second one here, but to get this one out I had to remove the exhaust manifold, the motor mount, everything. So it's a pretty big job. So we've already got one side off. Now this is a scrap motor, but if I wanted to keep this really nicely, I'd treat it nicer. This motor here is garbage, and it should be treated like such. So these are all 12 mils holding in this retainer collar, and these are 12 mils holding in this retainer collar. These were all 14 mils all the way around. You have to remove your speed sensor, which is a 10 mil. So we'll unplug that. We'll just, hard to do with one hand with sore fingers. So we'll just unbolt it and remove it. Take a hammer and tap it out so we can get at the last 14 mil. We're also going to remove this retaining collar over here. I've already got all the bolts on the bottom. And once we do that, we can remove the center differential out of this. So let's get going at this. So there's your other side cover removed. Now I just need a 10 mil and a 14 mil, and we're going to do the rest of it. I need to clean my hands because a lot of grease. Now this is not the way to do this if you want to put this car back on the road. I'm fully aware of that. What this is just me doing it on a scrap motor, showing you guys how to do it, basically. So the last socket we need is a 14 mil. Here's my last socket. Let's see if this gun will do it. Oh, she did it! Last bolt. Now we just need our trusty roofing hammer. Oh, look at the lovely mess coming in. Okay. I'm going to edit me dropping that out, maybe. Yeah, I think I'm going to. It's very heavy. So, right here is your V6 differential. Now, this is just like any other rear end differential. If you take a look, you have your spider gears on the inside. You want to weld those up. What I like to do is weld this gear to the casing, this gear to the casing, this gear to the casing, and that way I find it is actually pretty good. Now a lot of people for front wheel drives just like to weld in between the gears so that it has rotation, so that it hits the weld, so that way you're not full Posi. It's sort of like, oh that's heavy, it's sort of like a mini locker in there. V6 is a lot more work than a 4-cylinder. So once you have all this done, and this is welded, you have to put this all back together. And it is not very nice. 4-cylinders is a lot easier than this. But it is possible. You can make your V6 Posi. It's just going to take some time. I'm going to put this down. So that being said, there is advantages of being Posi. One is if you break an axle, you can still move. Tracks that are extremely muddy, you can get that extra traction that a lot of other cars cannot get. Now, saying that, there is a lot of disadvantages as well. And what do I mean by disadvantages? I mean you cannot turn on dry asphalt. If you turn on dry asphalt, I will give you a 50-50 roll of the dice that you're going to break an axle. They're not designed for this. They push through corners when you're doing this. I've done it, and I've liked it on certain tracks, and I've hated it on others. So, if you plan on making your car Posi, make sure you plan accordingly for the track you're going to. And if you're talking like a nice skim coat of mud that dries out by the end of the derby, this is not for you. If you're derbying on frozen permafrost or mud that's at least 4 to 5 inches deep every year, this might be for you. But it comes with a pretty big risk. Now, V6s, you have to take the time and make sure it's set up correctly when you put it all back together. 4-cylinders, you do not have to do this. I will make a separate videos for 4-cylinders. This motor here is going to go into the trash, so if you guys have taken a look, I wasn't very nice. I used a framing hammer to take everything apart on this. If I wanted to put this thing back together really nicely, I would have drained all the oil out of it through the drain plug. I would have taken my time. I would have actually measured how far in the retaining rings are for the differential to make sure that those gears are set properly. But the type of gear that it is, it's not a huge setup. It's not like your average rear end. You can set these up pretty easily. Some other things is I was pretty rough with this. You guys do it properly if you're going to put it back in the car. This is just going into a dumpster. This motor here seized, and the transmission sat outside without a hood for 2 years, so I really don't think the transmission is very good. You could go deeper into these transmissions as well. Like I could pull off this end piece over here, but I'm not going to because I don't need to. So yeah, that's how you make these cars Posi. To basically make a 4-cylinder V6 Posi, you have to pull them out of the car. People have told me they've done it in the car before. It's difficult. It's not worth it. Pull it out of the car. Put it on a table, weld it up, put it back together, put it in the car. It's easier this way, it's faster. I can pull out a motor in like 4 hours, have the motor out, weld the Posi, put it back in, 4 hours. But be noted, it is very hard on a front-wheel drive to have it Posi. Make sure that the cons do not outweigh the pros when you do this. Plan ahead, plan accordingly, be safe, and prepare. Especially on these V6s, it's a lot more work to do it on V6s, but it is possible. So thank you everybody for watching. This is probably one of the questions I get asked a lot, how to make these things Posi. And I haven't really put up these videos because I've known for probably 3 years how to do it, but the problem is that this is not for novice drivers, this is for more experienced drivers. I've done it, like I said, twice. And one time it worked out to my advantage, and one time it worked really bad to my disadvantage. I ended up breaking an axle and best in show before I even went into the derby. So, there's pros and there's cons. Take it as you please. If you guys would like to lock your Camry differentials, do this. Put it all back together, put her back in, slide in your axles, your retaining rings, everything should be good. But this thing's going to go in the trash now. So thanks everybody for watching. And we'll see you back here tomorrow. And this has been Camry 101. Take care.